The Polish Winged Hussars was an elite cavalry unit used in battle by the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth or Poland as a whole from the 1500s all the way to their disbandment in the 1770s. So what made the Polish Hussars so effective in battle during its time? Polish Hussars were originally modeled by the Hungarian Hussars and mainly started out as Serbian mercenaries. These Serbians would come from the Black Army. The Black Army was a skilled mercenary unit in the late 15th century for the Kingdom of Hungary, led by Matthias Corvinus that won victories against the Ottoman Empire, captured Vienna, and took many holdings for the Bohemian crown. After the disbandment of the Black Army, Serbian contingents came to Poland to seek employment. The Polish Parliament of the Xylem would eventually hire Poland's first three contingents of Serbian warriors in 1503 that would eventually evolve to the Polish Winged Hussars. During the early days of the Hussars, these Serbian Hungarian horsemen would play a minor role in the Polish crown's favor. Despite this position of the cavalry would prove to be useful in the battles of Orsha and Orban. Orsha against the Duchy of Muscovy and Orbitin against the Moldovan voivode. In the Battle of Orsha, the cavalry played a crucial role when they tried to break through the Muscovite lines, but the cavalry retreated and laid the pursuing Muscovite cavalry into trap, thereby winning the battle for Poland and Lithuania. In the Battle of Orbitin, the cavalry played a crucial role in putting pressure on the Moldovan flanks and routing the enemy, giving another win to Poland in its southern border. A crucial part to the Polish Hussars and Lancers' history would be in the 1570s with the election of King Stefan Batory of the now Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. King Stefan would officially gain the Hussars into the Royal Guard and reformed along the model as heavy cavalry. Another reform was abandoning wooden shields, having new heavy plate armor, adapting to firearms, and lastly, transforming from scouts to recon to heavy cavalry. To understand what the Hussars were capable of, or even how they made legendary status in the first place, there are three important battles that transformed or made Hussars into the skilled horsemen we see today. The first one is the Battle of Ludwigslust, where King Stefan Batory crushed the Danzig rebellion by breaking the enemy lines with the card of the Hussar charge, making the Danzig army flee and beginning the golden age of the Hussaria. The second important battle was the Battle of Kluisen against the Tsardom of Russia. The army led by Stanislav Sobieski was nearly surrounded, and the armies mostly made up of Polish cavalry so the Hussars kept charging to the Russian lines, hoping to break it, but each failed. The Russian army, led by Dmitry Sushusky, attempted to exploit this by counterattacking Hussars. However, this didn't end well when trying to implement the Kartakol tactic of turning on horseback in dressage. As the Poles entered into melee after discharging their firearms, this destroyed the Russian center, eventually helping the Polish army surround the two camps made, eventually letting the Russians retreat and giving the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth a victory. The last and arguably most famous battle the Hussars participated in was the Siege of Vienna in 1683. The battle was a coalition of European powers, Catholic and Protestants, working together to face the common enemy of the Islamic Ottoman Empire of Vienna, which was at the time being besieged. The Polish Hussars, after the German troops were battling the Ottomans for a while, the Hussars came crashing down on the Ottoman lines, breaking the siege with the largest cavalry charge in history, and winning a battle not only for Poland, but the rest of the German states from Ottoman expansion. There were plenty more battles that the Hussars won, and many victories for Poland at that, but every story has its endings, and the Hussars would be no different. The Winged Hussars' last great victory was the Ottomans of Vienna. After this would be a decline. One problem with the Winged Hussars is that they made do against the Russian and Ottoman armies in the 17th century, but not the Swedish armies in the 30 Years' War or the Deluge of the 17th century. This signaled the Hussars couldn't face modern Western armies. However, despite this, the 17th century would still continue great results as it may be. But going to the 18th century, Poland declined as a great power as the Russians, Ottomans, and everyone around them was transforming to modern Western armies. Poland declined as a great power, and along with it, the Hussars. Going to the 18th century, Hussars mainly just became a liability for the Poles-ish army, having their place on the field changed from a heavy cavalry unit to a foraging and scouting unit, eventually shaping as a parade unit. The Hussars would eventually be disbanded in the 1770s, and the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth would follow the Hussars' fate. But that is a story for another time.